Welcome back to Tasty Tuesday, everybody. Today I am going to be showing you 3 different recipes you can make at home using apples, since this is Apple Week. The first recipe I'm going to show you are apple roll-ups. For this recipe you are going to need 1 can of crescent roll dough, some cinnamon sugar, and an apple of your choice. I'm going to use a Granny Smith apple because this is the type of apple that usually is used in a lot of apple pies, and I love the flavor. We need to start by taking the skin off of the apple, and we call this peeling. So you're going to need a peeler, and this is a job for a grown-up because peelers are really sharp, and if you're not careful you can really get hurt. So I'm going to peel my apple first by taking the skin off, then I'm going to cut it so that it is off of the core, which is the center part of the apple where all the seeds are. Once I'm done that, I'm going to cut it into smaller slices. So again, you are going to need a sharp knife for this part. So this part is for the grown-ups. Now that I have peeled, cored, and cut up my apple into thin slices, I'm going to turn my oven on to 375 because that is the temperature that our apple roll-ups are going to need to bake at. And while my oven warms up, I'm going to take a tray. I'm going to spray it with a little bit of cooking spray so that our apple roll-ups don't stick to the tray. And then I'm going to open our can of croissant dough. Now you want to take each individual crescent roll triangle and separate them. I like to start with 4 at a time. Once you have 4 triangles ready to go, you're going to add 1 to 2 apple slices. Next, you're going to roll up each triangle, covering the apple slices with your dough. Now that my apple roll-ups are all ready to go, there's one more step before I put it in the oven. I'm going to add a little bit of melted butter to each of them, and then I'm going to sprinkle on some more cinnamon sugar. Now my apple roll-ups are ready to go in the oven. I'm going to bake these for 13 minutes, and then I will check them. We'll know they're done when the dough is a nice golden yellow color. Friends, my apple pie roll-ups are out of the oven and cooling off. They look delicious, but because the inside is going to be really hot, we need to let them cool for a while before we eat them. The next recipe I'm going to show you, friends, is our apple pie in a cup. For this recipe, you are going to need some graham crackers or graham cracker crumbs, a can of apple pie filling, some whipped cream, some cinnamon sugar, a cup to put your pie in, some spoons, and since I'm using whole graham crackers, I'm going to need a plastic Ziploc bag so that I can turn these whole graham crackers into some graham cracker crumbs. To start, I need to turn my whole graham crackers into graham cracker crumbs. So I put 2 whole graham crackers in my Ziploc bag, and I sealed the top, trying to get out a bunch of air so that way my bag doesn't explode while I'm making my crumbs. Now this part you can either do with your hands, a spoon, or if you have one, a rolling pin. But all you want to do is break your graham crackers up into pieces. When you like the look of your graham crackers, you are going to add them to the bottom of your cup. I think about 2 to 3 spoonfuls is plenty. Next, we're gonna add 2 spoons of our apple pie filling. We're gonna top it off with some whipped cream and a little bit of cinnamon sugar. And there you go, your very own apple pie in a cup. Friends, the last apple recipe I'm going to share with you today is our homemade applesauce. For this recipe, because it takes a while for the apples to cook, we are going to use a slow cooker or a crock pot. You will need 10 apples, peeled, cored, and cut into small chunks. I'm going to use a mix of ginger gold and Macintosh because they have really good flavors that go well together. And since we need 10, I'm going to do 5 of each because 5 plus 5 is 10. Then you are going to need some ground cinnamon, some nutmeg, lemon juice, granulated sugar, and you're going to need some water. I'm going to start by getting my apples peeled, cored, and cut into little pieces. Once they are done, I'm going to add them to the bottom of my crock pot. So now that my apples have been peeled, cored, and cut into smaller chunks and are now in my crock pot, it's time to add the rest of our ingredients. I'm going to start with our granulated sugar. We need a 1/2 cup of sugar. 1/2 cup is the one that has a 1/2 on it for 1/2 cup. So I'm going to fill this up and I'm going to dump it into our crock pot. And you want to make sure it's pretty level. You don't need a giant mound sitting on the top. And then we're going to sprinkle it over our apples. Get them nice and covered. When you're done that, you can move on to our nutmeg and our cinnamon. For our nutmeg, we need a 1/4 teaspoon. That is going to be the spoon that has a 1/4 written on it. And the easiest way to do our spices, friends, is to take off the lid and scoop out what you need. And then you're going to sprinkle that on top. For our cinnamon, we need 1 teaspoon. Usually it'll just say teaspoon right on there. And again, I'm going to take the lid off and I'm going to carefully add the cinnamon to my spoon. And then I'm going to sprinkle it over the top. And my rule with spices is if you add a little bit extra, it's okay. You just don't want to add too much. Now that we've added our cinnamon, we need to add our lemon juice. For our lemon juice, we need 2 tablespoons. So my tablespoon looks like this, and written on it, you can't see because it's written in white on a white spoon, but it'll say 1 tablespoon, and it's the big guy out of all of your measuring spoons. Now I'm going to fill this up twice so I get my 2 tablespoons. So 1, I'm going to pour that in, and 2. That just leaves our water. For this recipe, we need 1/2 cup of water. So our 1/2 cup, just like our 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, is going to be the line that has a 1-2 on it, right there. So I'm going to fill my measuring cup up onto this line, and you always want to put it down on the counter and get down really low so that you make sure you are looking at the correct spot. We have our 1/2 cup of water, and I'm going to pour this on top of our apples. Now all that's left is to put the lid on and cook it. You can cook your applesauce on high for 3 to 4 hours or on low for 5 to 6. So I'm gonna do it on low. And when it's all done and your apples are nice and soft, you are going to need either a potato masher or a fork. And you are gonna use this to mash up your apples to make them nice and smooth. Friends, I had a great time cooking with you today, using up all these different kinds of apples. I can't wait to hear how your own cooking went. Don't forget to post pictures or videos on our class tag post for today. And if you have any apple recipes that you want to share, you can also add them to our activity post for today. Bye!